Hi everybody, we're back with our second aim in this next topic, solving quadratic equations. And the only difference today, it's pretty much exactly like yesterday. The only difference today is that your equations are not, okay, be careful, they're not going to be in standard form. So if they're not in standard form, it means we need to get them into standard form. And remember, standard form of a quadratic equation looks like this: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So whatever it's equal to, you want it to be equal to 0. So for instance, in number 1, you don't want that negative 11 there. So it's going to be this one extra step. We're going to do the inverse operation, which is to add 11 to both sides. So then we have x squared minus 11x plus 30 equals 0. And this is a basic trinomial. So we are going to ask ourselves, a is 1. We ask ourselves what multiplies to 30 and adds to negative 11. That would be the factors negative 5 and negative 6. So I'm going to use x minus 5 and x minus 6. Set it equal to 0. Set up our t. Take each factor, set them equal to 0, add your 5. So here x equals positive 5. And here if I add 6, x equals positive 6. And those are your two solutions or roots, 5 and 6. Okay. How about the next one, number 2? Again, it's not equal to 0, so we're going to move that 12 over. But I want you to take note, in the first example, there was a constant here on the other side that we were allowed to add it to. They were like terms. In number 2, there isn't. So when you bring down your 2x squared and your 5x, you're just going to then minus 12 and set it equal to 0. Okay? There were no like terms. You have your squared term, your x term, your constant. Here, this is a trinomial, but it's what we call split the middle, because your first term is not 1 and there's no GCF. So here's where you're going to have to multiply 2 times negative 12, which gives you negative 24. And ask yourself, what multiplies to negative 24 and adds to 5? 8 and negative 3. So I'm going to use the 2x squared. I'm going to put my 8x first, my negative 3x second, with my minus 12 and my equal to 0. Group and group. The GCF of these first two would be 2x. And the GCF of these second two, I need a negative, has to be negative 3. I can't use an x because the 12 doesn't have an x. So if I pull out my GCF of 2x, I have x plus 4. If I pull out my GCF of negative 3, I once again, when I divide those, have x plus 4. Now remember, that just means you did it correct because your two parentheses match. That's one of your factors. These other two here, the 2x and the negative 3, make up your other factor. 2x minus 3, set it equal to 0. So x plus 4 is 0. 2x minus 3 is 0. This, when I minus 4, becomes x equals negative 4. Here, when I add 3, 2x equals 3, but then I have to divide by 2, x equals 3 halves. So your two solutions for number 2 are negative 4 and positive 3 halves. Okay? Okay. Not liking a lot of the order in this one, but let's do a new color. Let's do blue. So here we don't want our 12, negative 12 on the right side. We want it equal to 0. If we add 12 to both sides, we wind up getting 25 minus 36x squared. Don't forget to set it equal to 0. This is the difference of two squares. There's no GCF, and 25 and 36 and x squared are perfect squares, and it's difference. So here's where you're going to open your two sets of parentheses. The square root of 25 is 5. 1 minus 1 plus. The square root of 36x squared is 6x and 6x. So we could do our t. 5 minus 6x equals 0. 5 plus 6x equals 0. Here I would minus 5. So negative 6x equals negative 5. And when you divide by negative 6, you actually get positive 5 over 6. Here, if I minus 5 from both sides, okay, I get 6x equals negative 5. And when you divide by 6, you get x equals negative 5/6. So your solutions are both positive and negative 5/6. Okay. In number, new color, 4. Is it in standard form? No, it's not equal to 0. I would move this 10x over. Okay, so that's going to give me 2x squared. They're not like terms. Minus 10x equals 0. And this has a GCF. What do they both have in common? 2x. So if I divide each of these by 2x, I get x minus 5 equals 0. Still gives me two factors. 2x is 0, x minus 5 equals 0. Here I would divide by 2, so x equals 0. Here I would add 5, so x equals 5. And those are your two solutions, 0, 5. Okay. In the next example, you have two things that are on the wrong side. So the first thing I would do is add 2x. Add 2x. Let's do that first. So we have x squared, negative 9, right, plus 2x. Those are like terms. That becomes negative 7x, and that equals negative 10. But it's not in standard form. Now add your 10. So you have x squared minus 7x plus 10 equals 0. And this is your basic trinomial. So it's going to say to yourself, okay, what multiplies to positive 10 and adds to negative 7? Negative 2 and negative 5. X minus 2, x minus 5. When you set up your t and you set them both equal to 0, you could actually jump right down to, if you added 2 to that side, x equals 2. Remember, opposite signs. If it's negative 2 in the parentheses, it's going to be a positive 2 answer. And again, you have a negative in parentheses, so x is going to equal positive 5. So your solutions, 2 and 5. I would really like you guys to check out the graphs of these. That'll be like the next thing we talk about. But you should start looking at what 2 and 5, how 2 and 5 relate to your graph of your parabola. And it's a great way for you to check your answers in the calculator. Okay, last one, if we add this 2x, now look at where I'm going to put the 2x. I'm going to keep x squared. I'm putting the 2x in the middle. It's my x term. It's my b term. Come back up here. See, notice it's the b in your bx. It goes right in the middle. And then you want your minus 8 at the end equals 0. Once again, this is a basic trinomial. You're going to ask yourself what multiplies to negative 8 and adds to positive 2. It's got to be 4 and negative 2. Because if I do x plus 4 and x minus 2, they multiply to negative 8, and if I add them together, they add to positive 2. So when I set up the t, notice all my equals 0. Everything equals 0. It's so important. You get x, if you minus 4 from both sides, x equals negative 4. And here, if you add 2 to both sides, x equals positive 2. So here's your two solutions, negative 4 and positive 2. So I am going to show you where these two numbers, negative 4 and 2, your roots, your solutions, where they relate to the graph. If I put x squared minus 8 equals negative 2x into the graph. So I'm going to go into my parabola, into my equation, my calculator, and do x squared, what was it? I forgot already. X squared minus 8 equals negative 2x. Okay, right? Here's my parabola. I could look all I want, right? What were those two numbers? Man, this one goes down really pretty far. Negative 4 and positive 2. Does anybody see where those 2 points are on the graph? Right here, negative 4, positive 2. Those are, notice, what does it say? It says root at negative 4, 0. Root at negative 2, 0. All of those values that I showed are the roots or solutions of your parabola, and that's where your graph crosses the x-axis. So that's a really great way for you guys to check your answers. Okay, I'm going to leave you with the worksheet, and I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. I will talk to you Monday.